The Young and the Restless scoop for Monday, October 20th, reveals an out-of-control Phyllis Summers will try to ruin Christine Blair's bachelorette. Also coming up, Danny Romalotti will hold court as his bachelor party gets underway. Plus, Victoria Newman, Nate Hastings, Devin Winters, and Abby Newman will get a surprise. And when a power outage occurs, everyone will suspect Phyllis. Y&R spoilers tease at the jazz club. Abby and Devin will look forward to an evening out. But Diane Jenkins, Tracy Abbott, and Lauren Fenmore will wonder why Devin's there. They'll point out the club is closed for a private event. Then the guest of honor will arrive. Upstairs at the GCAC restaurant, Victoria and Nate will show up for their date. They'll both be surprised by how empty it is, and Victoria will wonder if it's closed. They'll grab a table, and Jack Abbott and Michael Baldwin will show up. "Shouldn't you be downstairs?" Jack will ask Victoria. Then Danny will show up and tell Jack and Michael he's going to run, not walk down that aisle. Phyllis will walk in the front door and eavesdrop, and her face will drop when Victoria asks Danny if they're crashing his bachelor party. He'll say he rented out the place and the downstairs for Cricket's bachelorette. Danny will suggest Nate hang with him, Jack, and Michael. He'll also say Victoria should attend Cricket's party. Then Devin will show up and say he just lost Abby to the activities downstairs. Michael will spot Phyllis lurking in the lobby and suggest she head up to her room and not ruin the evening for everyone. Michael will head back to the bachelor party, which will consist of he, Danny, Nate, Devin, and Jack sitting around blabbing and drinking. Jack will say he's sorry Daniel Romalotti couldn't make it. Danny will say his son will be there for the wedding. Meanwhile, Phyllis being Phyllis, she'll head right on downstairs. Cricket will ask what she's doing there, and Phyllis will ask if anyone can join the party. "You do not want to be here," Lauren will say, dragging Phyllis to the back of the club. "What are you doing here?" she'll ask. "I didn't know I was going to stumble across the Cricket Romalotti 2.0 party," Phyllis will reply. Lauren will ask what's in it for her. "She stole Danny from me," a deluded Phyllis will say. "She is vicious, and she is cruel, throwing her happiness in my face every chance she gets." Then Christine will walk over and say she thought they'd exhausted their bag of barbs during their earlier argument. "I have a bottomless bag of barbs," Phyllis will reply. Christine will say she can't handle that she'll never have what she has, and she'll mention Phyllis's brief marriage to Jeremy Stark. "If that's not proof that you're too crazy to find love, then I don't know what is." Phyllis will lunge for Christine, but Lauren will hold her back. "Don't you call me crazy," an upset Phyllis will tell Christine, who will sarcastically apologize. "You're down here, causing trouble, seems a bit unhinged to me." Phyllis will lunge for Christine again, but Tracy and Diane will hold her back this time. Victoria will offer to walk Phyllis out. "No, I don't need an escort," she'll say. "I'm happy to leave this loser party with only 5 people." She'll storm upstairs and tell Danny she was just kicked in the face by Christine's hate and lies. "What did you say to Cricket?" he'll ask. Phyllis will say of course he'd think she's the bad guy. Michael will point out she crashed a party she wasn't invited to. Phyllis will leave, and Danny will suggest they merge the 2 parties in the jazz club. When the guys arrive, the lights will go out and everyone will think Phyllis did it. Danny will go upstairs, run into Phyllis, and ask if she did this. But Nate will say he spoke to the manager and there was a transformer outage. Phyllis will try to walk away, but Danny will ask if she's okay. Phyllis will say she's not. "Christine called me crazy. I think she's right," she'll add. "I did go crazy when I was in that cell with Sharon." Danny will say he's sorry Cricket hurt her. He'll tell Phyllis he's getting his guitar to serenade everyone downstairs and will suggest she join them. But Phyllis will pass on his offer. Finally, Danny will head back downstairs and serenade Christine with a song. Phyllis will stand near the back of the club and listen. "I can't wait for our life to start together and to marry you," Danny will tell his fiancée, and they'll kiss. Keep reading the Soap Scoop for Young and the Restless spoilers and news. And make sure to also join our Y&R Facebook group or leave us a reply in our comments section. But if you miss an episode, don't fret. You can watch The Young and the Restless online at cbs.com. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. Here's what happened on the Friday, October 17th, 2025, episode of The Young and the Restless. Billy encountered Jack at the Jazz Lounge bar and quipped about Victor joining them. However, Jack stressed that any alliance with Victor was at best a temporary arrangement. Billy declared that he was new and improved, which softened the vibe enough for Jack to ask him to join. Billy tried to further lighten the mood and said, "Since my brother will not refund Abbott Communications, will he buy me a drink?" Jack hoped they could spend time together without things turning into an argument. They knew how to get under each other's skin, and they regretted their past actions. Billy admitted he wasn't always open to hearing Jack's point of view on things. He knew his brother always had his back, but things didn't always end well. Billy cited a newfound perspective to avoid taking every battle so personally and engaging in a full-scale war. He didn't think they would ever stay in balance. However, Jack was hopeful there would be lasting peace between them. Jack changed the subject to Billy's relationship with Jill. But Billy said he never spoke with her again. They agreed Jill wasn't a fool, but Billy felt like she cared more about Kane than she ever would him. He didn't think that would ever change. Jack inquired about the status of Billy's own relationship with Kane, since he frequently waffled on it. Billy maintained he planned to keep his distance from Kane, but Jack recalled hearing that before. Billy had a tendency to switch back and forth on matters that related to his faux bro. Jack questioned why Bill always changed his mind about Kane on every whim. However, Billy said his eye was always on the prize of getting Chancellor back, and Kane had used him. Billy thought maybe getting Chancellor back wasn't meant to be. He promised his brother he wouldn't go back down that rabbit hole. He gave the credit to Sally and said, "I give most of that to Sally. She's the one who helped me realize what's important. Obviously, the risk of losing her, no brass ring in the world, is worth losing that." Jack had the impression that Billy was honest this time and meant what he said. Billy vowed his actions would match his words so people could actually believe him this time. Jack wanted to raise a toast, but Billy stopped him in his tracks. Billy asked Jack if checking up on him was the real reason he reached out to Jill, and that it wasn't just to stop Kane's attacks. Jack soothed Billy's worries and testified that he wanted Jill to see Kane for who he was. Although Jack eventually admitted that a part of it was to fix the issues between Billy and Jill. Billy thought he and his mother would never regain their previous closeness, but he believed Jill wanted him to succeed. Jack wondered where Billy went from there, but Billy laid the good news on him. Sally found an investor for Abbott Communications, and Jack was surprised that someone had deep enough pockets to do it. Sally trusted the person, and Billy assured him that Victor and Kane weren't the secret investors. Still, Jack was left with lingering hurt about being pushed out of Abbott Communications. Being the last person in Billy's corner who believed in him made it painful when he was erased from it. Billy wished he could rewind time and bring Jack back into the fold. However, Billy wanted to be a corporate success on his own merits. Back in Los Angeles, the detective continued his theory that Noah's accident was intentional. Nick and Sharon demanded answers, but he didn't have much more to go on yet. There was a witness who saw someone run Noah off the road and leave him for dead. If someone didn't come forward, it could have been days before Noah was located. Sharon and Nick requested the name of the individual who came forward, but the detective refused. They couldn't understand why the name remained sealed, but he wouldn't budge. The detective wanted answers about Noah's intentions in Los Angeles and the road he crashed. Nick took the word accident quite personally toward the detective since it was clear the crash was intentional. However, the detective urged them to wait out the investigation and assured them he was working hard to uncover the truth. He asked for their contact information, which Nick begrudgingly agreed to. Sharon thanked the detective for his well wishes, but after he left, they both felt that the interaction was odd. Nick couldn't wrap his head around Noah being personally targeted. He realized the detective never showed any sort of official identification, and he wondered why there were so many questions about Noah. Sharon didn't know or care, and her entire focus was on Noah's health. She told Nick that nothing else mattered. Nick promised Sharon he'd stop focusing on the details about the investigation, but Noah's phone suddenly rang, which captured their attention. The name on the phone said Sienna Bacall. which is the club owner that Holden introduced Claire to on Tuesday's all-new episode. They debated whether they should answer the phone, but ultimately, Nick answered the call. Nick revealed himself to the person on the other line, but Sienna was caught off guard that his father answered. Sienna asked if Noah would be all right, but Nick insisted she reveal her connection to Noah and why she was calling. Sienna said she was a friend of Noah's, and Nick hit her with a barrage of questions before she abruptly ended the call. Nick continued his theory that everything felt off about the call and the detective. Nothing added up, and he could feel it. Sharon knew that Nick couldn't stop thinking about the call with Sienna, but she stepped away to have some alone time with Noah. Nick tried to crack the code for Noah's phone, and he got it on the first try. He looked through the phone for any clues about why Noah was on that road the night of his crash. He found 4 missed calls from Sienna on Noah's phone, but she ignored his calls when he tried to call back. Sharon tearfully spoke to Noah by his bedside and recounted the days of his childhood when she comforted him. Like she did when he was a child, Sharon named the states in alphabetical order, but she struggled to keep it together. She told Noah, "You have got to get better. You have got to heal. Your family needs you. We need you. Allie needs you. Your dad and I need you. Please, please, please get better. Please." The detective called someone and said Noah's parents bought the story, and he would forward the mystery person Nick's number. Audra and Nate bumped into each other in Chancellor Park and exchanged awkward pleasantries. She was surprised to see Nate on his run much earlier than expected. Before she could ask any further questions, Victoria arrived and apologized for running late. Victoria hoped she didn't interrupt anything between them, but Nate assured her that any interaction with Audra was a coincidence. Nate questioned why Victoria wasn't dressed for their scheduled run, so she gave him the latest updates on Noah's condition. Audra, Noah's former girlfriend, asked for more information, but Victoria wanted to speak to Nate in private. Audra protested against being dismissed until she was debriefed on her former flame's prognosis. She reminded them about her previous relationship with Noah and requested to be kept informed. Victoria wouldn't budge and told Audra she didn't have any information for her. Still, Audra expressed her well wishes for Noah and his family, and Victoria stated she'd pass it along, but Audra barked that she wouldn't. Audra told Nate that she had plans to meet Amy for coffee to continue their previous connection, and he didn't have a problem with it. After Audra took off, Victoria and Nate remembered their own breakup and how civilized it was. He asked for the real update about Noah. She went over the entire rundown of Noah's accident and what the doctor relayed about Noah's extensive head trauma. Nate assured her that inducing the coma was the best chance for the brain swelling to subside. He didn't think the doctors would take such a drastic step if there was no hope, so Noah must have had brain activity. Nate gave Victoria a pep talk to lift her spirits, and he told her she had a right to her feelings, even if she didn't directly face this. He was honored that she felt comfortable enough to still confide in him. Victoria confirmed a dinner date with Nate, which further signaled their rekindled connection. Audra returned to the park to retrieve a forgotten belonging, but the vibe remained uncomfortable. Audra's hurt was evident, but she has always proved to be a fighter, so her journey is far from over. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Kyle Abbott and Sienna Bacall are on a collision course. An interrogation will follow some Holden Novak spy games, so let's discuss the drama ahead in Los Angeles. YNR fans will recall how Kyle flew to LA in hopes of changing Claire Newman's mind about their future together. Kyle was hoping to win Claire back, but derailing her bonding experience with Holden was arguably his priority. Claire wasn't happy about Kyle's pushy behavior and made it clear that she had no intention of trading tour guides. Holden and Claire's trip has been going well so far, but that doesn't mean Kyle is done trying to come between them. Kyle announced that he had some meetings in Los Angeles and would be sticking around for a few days. That'll give Kyle a chance to spy on Holden and try to score some dirt to change Claire's perspective. During the week of October 20 to 24th, Kyle will get smug after watching Holden in a fraught moment with Sienna. It'll be clear that something is going on, so Kyle will make sure Claire sees for herself that Holden is acting all tense and spending time with a mystery woman. Of course, that woman isn't a mystery to Claire, who already met Sienna at the nightclub she runs. Claire may rush to Holden's defense, even if she has questions deep down about what he might be hiding. Kyle will have questions of his own, so he'll continue his Holden investigation and will ultimately decide Sienna could be of use to him. We'll see Kyle confront Sienna and put her through a grilling session, which you can bet she won't appreciate. Sienna may warn Kyle to back off if he knows what's good for him. Kyle's intimidation tactics probably aren't going to work on someone like Sienna, who may toss some threats around and turn the tables. Although Kyle may be hoping to uncover the truth about Holden and Audra Charles' past, he may get tangled up in the current Noah Newman drama once he starts digging. Regardless, the Young and the Restless spoilers say Kyle and Sienna will collide for an LA face-off, so stay tuned for updates on any news he might uncover despite her attempts to stonewall him. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, October 21st reveal that Daniel Romalotti Jr. will rescue Tessa Porter and get a smooch in return. Kane Ashby will also have a doomed plan, so let's discuss what's coming up in Genoa City. For starters, Kane will speak with Devin Winters and try to clear the air. We'll see Kane apologize for his past mistakes and assure Devin that he only wants his family's approval. Since Kane is desperate to fix his relationship with Lily Winters and the twins, he may feel like making progress with Devin would help. Devin's opinion certainly matters to Lily, so Kane will try to patch things up with him. Of course, Devin doesn't trust Kane at all, and probably never will. Kane has done too much damage at this point for Devin to ever think he'd be worthy of Lily again. Devin may make it crystal clear to Kane that he'd never support his romantic reunion with Lily. As for Maddie Ashby and Charlie Ashby, Devin won't blame them for keeping their walls up and protecting themselves when it comes to their shady father. Meanwhile, Y&R spoilers say Phyllis will take quite a gamble, so Kane could get updates on some big news. We'll see Phyllis take some sort of risk, so that could involve a way to improve Kane's reputation and win his approval. Then again, maybe Phyllis's risk could be a more personal one, like planting a kiss on Kane. Since Phyllis will be feeling a lot of complex emotions when it comes to Danny Romalotti and Christine Blair's upcoming wedding, she might get swept up in a close moment with Kane and lock lips with him at some point. Kane is feeling lonely and unmoored, so he might surrender to temptation with Phyllis too sooner or later. Over with Tessa, she'll drown her sorrows and find herself in need of support. Daniel will help tipsy Tessa up to a suite at the GCAC, which will lead to her surprising him with a smooch on the staircase. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Tessa and Daniel will have a lot to discuss in the aftermath, but they'll have to wait until she's sober enough for that conversation. CDL will have other great Young and the Restless spoilers, updates, and news to check out, so drop by regularly for more Y&R info. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Sharon Newman and Nick Newman could get swept up in some hotel passion. Will mutual comfort and burning desires collide for a reconnection in the bedroom? Sharon has been a mess of emotions ever since she found out about Noah Newman's car crash. Nick has been doing his best to be there for Sharon, but he's clearly having a tough time too. The fact that everything's so confusing and shady is making all this even harder on Noah's parents. Sharon and Nick are struggling to understand what kind of trouble Noah might have been mixed up in, especially now that they know he may have been targeted. Y&R spoilers say Nick and Sharon will continue to search for answers when it comes to this big Noah mystery. Sharon and Nick will also keep talking to Noah in hopes that maybe he can hear them on some level despite his induced coma. However, the stress of this whole situation will be a lot for Nick and Sharon to handle. At some point, Sharon and Nick might find themselves needing some sort of release, so that could happen in the bedroom. Nick and Sharon shared a kiss after all the chaos in Nice, so maybe they could take things a step further by hitting the sheets in Los Angeles. Now that Sharon and Nick's bond is growing even stronger through this Noah-related ordeal, it's easy to imagine them letting passion erupt in whatever hotel they're staying in. Sharon might admit she wants to feel something other than fear, pain, and anger for a while. Nick might be on the same page and indulge in some passionate relief with Sharon, which could potentially help them inch toward a full-blown romantic reunion. Do you think this Noah mayhem could lead to Sharon and Nick surrendering to some bedroom temptation? Will Nick and Sharon ultimately take a little break from this mess by stripping down in private? The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sharon and Nick get updates on more Noah medical news sooner or later, but they might make time for some passion along the way. Tune in to find out about the drama happening in Genoa City. The Young and the Restless spoilers weekly update for October 20th, 24 teased that Christine's special celebration takes an unexpected turn. Meanwhile, Nick worries about Noah and ends up meeting Sienna in his quest for answers. Plus, Mariah confronts her past. Could it be Ray Wise? Tune in next week so you can catch all of the action in Genoa City. Monday, October 13th, 2025. Episode number 1323. Victor gave Nick an ultimatum that forced his son to reevaluate his loyalties and priorities within the Newman family. Meanwhile, Kane tapped into Phyllis's fiery determination, using her unique skill set to help him gain an upper hand in his latest business maneuver. In Los Angeles, Sharon shattered when a situation spiraled out of control, prompting her to make a desperate and emotional distress call to Nick after Noah had been in an accident. Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. Episode number 133231. Jill made a life-altering decision that affected both her relationship with Billy and the future of their shared business interests. Determined to protect his own vision, Kyle played hardball over Claire, demanding that Victoria give him information. Meanwhile, Holden unexpectedly crossed paths with someone from his past, Sienna. Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. Episode number 13232. Nick and Sharon's world was shaken when they received devastating news about their son, leaving them terrified and uncertain about what lay ahead. As the weight of the tragedy spread, Nate stepped in to comfort Victoria, offering strength and understanding during her time of grief. In Los Angeles, Claire's attempt to escape the pressures of her life took an unexpected detour, forcing her to confront emotions she'd been trying to outrun. Thursday, October 16th, 2025. Episode number 13233. When patience no longer served her, Nikki took matters into her own hands, determined to protect her family by any means necessary. Far from Genoa City, Tessa visited Mariah in Boston, desperate to bridge the growing distance between them. At the same time, Nick and Sharon's search for answers led them to troubling questions when Detective Burrow suggested Noah's accident had been on purpose. Friday, October 17th, 2025. Episode number 133234. Jack decided it was time to clear the air with Billy, hoping an honest conversation could finally mend their fractured bond. Still reeling from recent events, Nick pressed forward in his search for answers about the crash that nearly destroyed his family. Meanwhile, Audra was confronted with a painful reminder of her past in the form of what happened with Holden. Something is off about Detective Burrow. Nick and Sharon felt weird about their interaction with Detective Burrow, and they could be right. On The Young and the Restless, on October 17th, he told someone that he had spoken to Nick and Sharon and that they believed his story. Nick and Sharon continued their conversation with Detective Burrow, who wants to open up an investigation into their son's accident. He claimed that it could have been intentional. He said they were lucky to get the call about their son since they're not from around here. Nick wanted to know who was behind the call. However, Detective Burrow wouldn't share that information. He wanted to know what Noah was doing there. It sounded like he was trying to blame Noah for what happened. However, the detective claimed that he wasn't trying to blame Noah for the accident. He's just trying to get answers. But is he, really? Nick and Sharon got a funny feeling about Detective Burrow, and they should. He appears to be up to something, but what? Was he hired to mess with the Newmans? Detective Burrow left the hospital and walked the streets of Los Angeles. He pulled out his phone and called someone. The detective informed the person that he had spoken to Nick and Sharon. Then, he told the person on the other end that they agreed to it. They seemed to go along with his story. Maybe Detective Burrow isn't what he seems after all. Following the call, he texted the mystery person Nick's phone number. Once again, the Newmans are going through hell. They already went through enough this year alone. Y&R viewers remember when Ian Ward and Jordan teamed up to cause them horror. And then they were both killed in separate incidents. But are they actually dead? Or are they coming back from the dead to finish what they started? Maybe they're the mystery person on the other end of the phone. Or maybe the person that Detective Burrow spoke to was the witness who was at the scene of the crash. Maybe they hired this makeshift detective who's not what he appears to be. There is something strange about him, and we can't put our finger on it just yet. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, October 20th, see Nate receiving a surprise invitation. Elsewhere, Cricket's bachelorette party takes an unexpected turn that seems to have something to do with Phyllis plotting her revenge. The more things change, the more things sound the same in Genoa City. Nate hasn't had the best few months. He broke up with Audra after he learned that she teamed up with Victor to get Kyle to cheat on Claire. The one nice thing about the breakup is that Nate and Victoria seem to have reconnected, which might be a good change for both of them since she just lost Cole. Could it be Victoria who gives him a surprise invitation? Elsewhere, Christine gathers with her friends to celebrate her impending marriage to Danny. It's a festive occasion, and everybody is surely going to have a good time until Cricket's bachelorette party takes an unexpected turn. Could Phyllis wreak havoc with the bride-to-be? It certainly wouldn't be a surprise at all. In fact, it looks like Phyllis will take some time to plot her revenge. Perhaps Phyllis can't stand to once again be bested by the bug. After all, she recently bragged about conning Danny into believing Daniel was his son back in the day. It would seem Phyllis hasn't done much growing or reflecting since those days, and Kane attempts to make amends with Devon. Attempts being the key word here. Next week, on The Young and the Restless, a surprise threatens everybody's fun at Christine's bachelorette party. Kane's redemption tour hits Devon's front door. When Kane tries to make amends, how will the Winter CEO react? The action in Los Angeles is also dramatic, for Sharon and Nick, but especially for Sienna. What's a bachelorette party without drama? Unfortunately, Christine's takes an unexpected turn. According to Friday's video preview, Phyllis crashes the festivities, which means the fun will most likely turn to close encounters of the awkward and cringe kind. Phyllis and Christine are not friends. Will this be a night to remember or to forget for Christine? This week, Tessa's visit with Mariah left the singer's society manager disappointed. She felt like Mariah was getting worse, not better, and tried to get her wife to find a place closer to Genoa City to work on her mental health. Meanwhile, Mariah assured Tessa that this was part of the healing process. She's at a really critical time right now, and she wasn't going anywhere. Next week, a heartbroken and devastated Tessa makes a move, and it will undoubtedly have to do with Daniel. We were recently introduced to Sienna Bacall, a woman from Holden's past and a friend of Noah's. So far, she has spoken to Nick on the phone, but didn't provide much information about who she was to Noah. You know how Nick gets when something feels off to him. He's like a dog with a bone. He'll hopefully get a better sense of who Sienna is when Nick meets her in person. Sienna also has to deal with another resident of Genoa City. Nobody asked Kyle to go to LA, but he showed up anyway, and already he's grilling Sienna for intel. Of course, he'll interrogate her about how she knows Holden, and he'll want the dirt so he can prove to Claire why she should put Holden in her rearview mirror. Sienna will be loyal to Holden, right? In GC, Kane's apology tour takes him to Devon. When he tries to make amends with Lily's brother, how will Devon respond? The man is stubborn, and he doesn't trust Kane. Kane will need to plead his case better than he's ever had to plead his case before. Meanwhile, Phyllis and Kane reach an understanding. Has Phyllis even come up with positive ways to use that super powerful and potentially evil AI weapon yet? Guess we'll find out if Phyllis will help Kane rehab his reputation, or if they decide to pivot yet again. Finally, Sally goes out on a limb for Audra. This could involve Sally having to persuade Billy to keep Audra on the Abbott communications team. Audra is running out of places to work in Genoa City. Hopefully, she and Sally will continue to team up and use their powers for corporate greed good. Here is your weekly recap of The Young and the Restless for the episodes that aired October 13th through 17th, 25. This week on The Young and the Restless, Adam and Chelsea reveled in how their article had ruined Kane's reputation in the business world. Kane hesitated to meet Phyllis's demand to hand over his AI in exchange for her help restoring his image. Victoria caved to Kyle's pleas to give him Claire's whereabouts in LA. Claire and Holden enjoyed spending time together, including going to a nightclub where he introduced her to the owner, Sienna. Sienna shared that she didn't know where her partner, Mitch, was. Claire bristled when Kyle showed up with flowers, and she ordered him to leave her alone. Kyle opted to stay in LA to take some business meetings. A frantic Sharon called Nick to report that Noah had been in a horrible car accident. Nick and Sharon kept vigil at a heavily bandaged Noah's bedside. Noah's doctor recommended that Noah be placed in a medically induced coma to reduce the risk of a long-term brain injury. Detective Burrows showed up at the hospital to investigate Noah's crash, and he mentioned that a witness had confirmed that Noah might have been run off the road by another driver who'd left the scene. Nick and Sharon sensed that something was off with Burrows' questions. Nick answered a call from Sienna on Noah's phone, but she abruptly hung up and ignored Nick's return calls. Later, Burrows called an unseen person and relayed that Nick and Sharon had bought what he'd told them. Sally was thrilled when Jill decided to invest in Abbott Communications, provided Billy did not know about her involvement. Sally immediately told Billy about the financial arrangement, but warned him against confronting Jill about it. Jack and Billy made amends. Victoria leaned on Nate to commiserate about Noah's accident. Audra was irritated when she spotted Nate and Victoria sharing a close moment. Tessa visited Mariah at the Boston clinic and observed that her wife seemed to be getting worse. Tessa was devastated when Mariah refused to leave with her and told her not to visit again. Phyllis taunted that Danny and Christine's marriage wouldn't last. The Young and the Restless did a bit of time traveling this week, and we happily boarded the time travel machine to revisit epic dynamics that are synonymous with the top-rated soap. Our worst suspicions were confirmed when Sharon went off to Los Angeles without Nick. We knew that Victor was going to want to keep his son in Genoa City with him to deal with Kane's ongoing threat. We weren't surprised when Sharon ran into some kind of trouble, but Noah being in a car wreck wasn't on our bingo card. The worst thing that ever happened to Nick and Sharon was Cassie's death after she got in a wreck because she wasn't an experienced driver. Now, they are reliving this nightmare with Noah. Only Noah's injury wasn't an accident, according to haughty newcomer Detective Burrow. Nick and Sharon's marriage was destroyed by Cassie's death. They grieved equally but differently, and Nick's determination to bring Daniel to justice for driving the car helped create a passionate dynamic between Nick and Phyllis, Daniel's mom. Could Noah's tragedy somehow bring Nick and Sharon together? We think it might. They've already survived one near-death experience this year in France when Nick was injured while being held captive by Kane's overly ambitious staff. Once Noah is out of the woods, it's possible that Danny and Cricket won't be the only couple retying the knot. We marvel at the intimate conversations that Genoa City residents opt to have at Crimson Lights. Granted, Danny and Cricket talking about their wedding shouldn't be an intimate secret, but it is when Phyllis is hovering about, ready to eavesdrop. Cricket has already told Daniel that she wants him to help keep her mom from their big day, and we were reminded why. Phyllis took time out of her big business plans with Kane, in which she's going to get respectability, a big job, and become Queen of Genoa City, to take some digs at Danny, her former husband, and her nemesis. We thought the negative crack about Danny's concerts was a bit much. However, Phyllis's quips to Christine were to be expected, and Cricket gave as good as she got. Danny and Cricket's reunion is a thorn in Phyllis's side. It's a reminder that her scheme to become Mrs. Danny Romalotti, the mother of Danny Romalotti Jr., failed to succeed. And if there's one thing Phyllis wants, it's to be a success. We just know that somehow Phyllis will attempt to mar Danny and Cricket's wedding day. Hopefully, she'll have as much success as Wile E. Coyote had when ordering a contraption from Acme, hoping to destroy the Roadrunner. Don't get us wrong. We want to see Phyllis try to interrupt the big day, but we don't want her to succeed. There's nothing that brings a family together on a soap opera than a medical crisis involving a loved one. It's heartwarming to see the Newmans band together to support Nick in light of Noah's accident. Victor offered his son the Newman private jet. Nikki and Vicky showed great concern. And this bears repeating, but whoever decided to bring back a version of the OG Newman Ranch deserves a raise. The Newman family's prestige on the show demands that they have a home that is worthy of them. Imagine having been away from Y&R for a few years, and then you happen to tune in and see the Newmans back in their rightful home. You're going to keep the TV on. Speaking of the Newman family, there was a great dynamic early in the week in which Victor acknowledged that Nick had a point about putting his kids first. We suspect that prompted Nikki to shoot Victor a look as if to say, "You never tell me I'm right." Nobody can strike a pose and shoot a look like our beloved Nikki. While Nick and Sharon and Phyllis/Danny/Cricket are very familiar dynamics, Y&R also gave us some new ones, as much of the action on the show has shifted from Genoa City, Wisconsin, to Los Angeles, California. We're not sure if there are going to be any location scenes popping up. After all, Y&R tapes at TV City in Hollywood. They wouldn't have far to go, but who needs to see the tourist sites when Y&R has given us so much to look at with the introduction of enigmatic Sienna Bacall, played by two-time Daytime Emmy winner Tamara Braun. Braun did the unthinkable when she took over the role of Carly on General Hospital over 20 years ago. Nobody thought it would work. In fact, legend has it that Braun was only supposed to stay a few weeks to wrap up Carly's story. Instead, the actress hit the show with a burst of energy, quickly making the role her own. After a remarkable Daytime Emmy-nominated run, we saw Braun go to All My Children as Reese, and to Days of Our Lives, on multiple occasions, as Ava and Taylor. Now, CBS fans are lucky to be able to see this captivating, charismatic actress on their screens. So far, Sienna has revealed that she's friends with Holden and that she doesn't think much of Audra. I mean, come on! Is there not a better way to be dismissive of someone than to not even know their name? We're also seeing an edge to Sienna. There's a lot more to this woman, and we can't wait to learn more about her and watch her interact with several other characters on the show. Braun coming to Y&R is one of the biggest casting gets of the year. It's always nice to see Tessa and Mariah in scenes together, but we need to know more about what exactly happened during this trip last summer when Mariah nearly killed someone. We need a development, and rumor has it we'll be getting one soon. It'd be a nice gift for the show to move this mystery along. Let's just hope it's not a holiday gift. December is too far away. Alas, Jill is back to appearing on the show via video calls. We'll take Walton's presence any way we can get her, but weren't her in-person appearances just the best? Jill is the only person who cares about Kane, who is willing to be in the same room with him, and he has the power to take down Victor, Jack, Devin, and others. She needs to be in Genoa City to act as Kane's moral conscience. Kyle, man, give it up! Many women would be flattered by a man showing up with flowers, ready to repair their relationship. Not Claire, though. She's made it crystal clear, we should say, that she wants time apart. Kyle may not approve of Claire going to Los Angeles and letting Holden be her tour guide, as he just happens to be in LA at the same time. But he's going to have to walk away. What's that old saying? If you love someone, set them free. If they come back to you, they're yours. If they don't, they never were. Claire's not wrong to want to find herself. Kyle's wrong to keep pressing after a certain point, and that point has been reached. Kyle showed what a great dad he was by comforting his son Harrison after he comforted his son who had a nightmare. We've been wondering why Harrison hasn't had more nightmares, to be honest. Does he ever ask about Tara? You know, she's his mother. His biological mother, who raised him for the first 3 years of his life, simply vanished when she was carted off to jail for, what was it again? She stole some money from her own company? Talk about victimless crimes. There are characters in Genoa City who have done far, far worse. Several people we can think of, but won't name Claire, Phyllis, Sharon, Victor, could all be in jail right now for doing things that have been far worse than what Tara supposedly did. It's time Tara comes back to reclaim her son. Harrison's had 3 moms in his short life, Tara, Summer, and Claire. What does he say on days that moms are supposed to come to help out at school? I got this. I'm sure one of them is available. Genoa City is about to be shaken to its core once again. The fallout from Noah Newman's shocking car crash has set off a chain reaction of secrets, lies, and dark alliances that no one saw coming. What first appeared to be a tragic accident is quickly turning into a sinister mystery, and whispers in the shadows are pointing to a powerful new player named Mitch. In recent episodes, fans watched in horror as Noah's return to Los Angeles took a devastating turn. He was on his way to meet with a project developer for his next big business venture, but somehow he ended up careening off a canyon road, miles away from where he was supposed to be. The crash left him hospitalized and fighting for his life, leaving Nick and Sharon desperate for answers. But as they pray for their son's recovery, suspicions begin to mount. This wasn't just bad luck. Something, or someone, wanted to silence Noah before he could reveal what he knew. Enter Mitch, the mysterious figure whose name has suddenly started circulating among Genoa City's elite. In the October 14th episode, a tense conversation between Holden Novak and Sienna Bolak, the nightclub owner with a murky past, gave fans the first real clue. When Holden mentioned Mitch, Sienna called him her partner for life, but her trembling voice and darting eyes told a different story. Fear, guilt, maybe both. Then came the bombshell. Sienna admitted she has no idea where Mitch is. That can only mean one thing. He's already lurking in the shadows, pulling the strings, orchestrating chaos from afar. Adding even more fuel to the fire, Roger Howarth, a fan favorite from General Hospital, is set to debut on The Young and the Restless this November. The show is keeping his role tightly under wraps, but insiders are whispering that he may be playing none other than Mitch himself, a dangerous, calculating man tied to both Sienna and Noah. If the rumors are true, Noah may have discovered something incriminating, perhaps illegal dealings connected to Sienna's nightclub empire or one of Mitch's underground operations. And if Noah refused to play along, that accident might have been no accident at all. As the November sweeps approach, The Young and the Restless is gearing up for one of its most explosive storylines in years. Mitch could become Genoa City's next great villain, a shadowy figure whose reach extends far beyond anyone's imagination. With Nick and Sharon determined to uncover the truth, the Newmans may soon find themselves tangled in a web of danger that threatens not just their family, but everyone they care about.